Hey, what's up? It's Tuesday. I'm Jim here for TheRoughCuts, and today I am reviewing the film Brainscan, which is from 1994. A kid played by Edward Furlong who's seen all the violent horror movies, played all the violent video games, and has really seen it all. He even has a horror movie club at school that gets banned. Then he hears about this game called Brainscan, and you have to call them, and he calls them with his phone that he has. It's like a computer phone. Like in the time, like in the 90s when people would make movies about hackers, but you're like, I don't know if they really know that much about computers. This is kind of one of those. Like the whole thing that runs his computer, which is voice activated, by the way, is like Igor, and he'll be like, yes, master. He calls Brainscan, and they send him the first disc, and he plays it, and it's like a virtual reality experience where you have to kill someone, erase all the evidence, and not get caught. And that's basically the plot of Brainscan, or the plot of the game, supposedly. So he goes and plays the game, and he kills someone, but then it turns out that the killing was real somehow. Like he actually killed someone, and now he's freaking out, and the police with Frank Langella, and then people keep dying. And I've heard it called Baby Cronenberg. In the 90s, kid horror was big. You had Goosebumps, you had Are You Afraid of the Dark. The last kid horror film I saw that wasn't, I mean, I've seen a couple Are You Afraid of the Darks recently. I saw Crybaby Lane, and that they really hold back. You can't get too scary or too creepy because it's a kid show and parents will flip out. This film, I think, and part of the reason maybe you may have not heard of this, is this film is like the scene where he kills someone is really violent and really like graphic. It seems a little more believable because someone's actually getting hurt, actually getting killed. And then through the game comes out this kind of Freddy Krueger ripoff character called Trickster. Oh man, Trickster is ridiculous. But I kind of like that he comes out of the game to a Primus song. I mean, this is such a 90s soundtrack. You have grunge and alternative and all that stuff. And Edward Furlong and the girl he likes, who he's watching through the window or something, they both have Aerosmith posters for Get a Grip. And I like it's kind of like Existenz and Videodrome in a weird way, and it's kind of creepy and even a little body horror-y. Might be one of my favorite kind of hacker 90s movies. You know, I certainly like it a lot more than Hackers. It's a lot more fun. It is very of its time, but unabashedly so. I mean, it's like, you know, that whole thing, like, I'm a 90s kid, I know it all, I've seen it all, I've got attitude. Also that it's a starring vehicle for Edward Furlong. It did get actually apparently a decent release, it just did not do very well, unfortunately. I think this film would be hard to market because I think a lot of the kids who want to see it probably couldn't see it. This could actually get a little scary and spooky and weird, you know? And some stuff you didn't really understand how it was happening or why it was happening. And they have also all the killing scenes are all different, you know? It didn't always rely on cheap scares, and just because you saw a really violent killing early on, they might not show something later, but the way they reveal it is scary. For a kids horror movie, I mean, looking back on Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark and all that kids horror stuff that was pretty big in the 90s. I mean, kids horror was so big in the 90s. I remember there was a birthday I got nothing but Goosebumps books. A lot of that hasn't aged for me very well. Most of it I'm not very scared by. There's maybe a few Are You Afraid of the Dark episodes I think are alright, but I'm just not as into it now as that I'm in my 20s. But this I'm into. So I think if I had seen this as a kid, I probably would have liked it. It would have been very scary and probably a lot more fun. So I wish I'd seen it in the 90s, but as an adult I can still appreciate it. I still think it's a pretty fun, you know, weird little odd movie. So if you have seen Brainscan and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments. Subscribe to TheRoughCuts if you haven't already. Subscribe to my main channel in the info box below. Follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, and potentially VHX, and support Earl Barrett Holloway's Kickstarter. He did the picture at the beginning and the end of this video. He's trying to raise money for a comic book. And that's it, and I hope to see you next week.